In today's video, I want to address a trend that I've seen as an active real estate agent here in the city of Toronto that some people may call worrying. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom Storey. I run a real estate team here in the city of Toronto. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit like on this video if you find any value. You can also go into the first link in the description and book a call directly with me at a time that works for you. If you're a returning viewer of the channel, you've probably noticed that my last 5 or 6 videos have all been in different locations. And that is because my studio is under construction. I'm really excited to show you what it's going to look like at the end. Here's kind of an update of what it's looking like right now. So basically now, with a dog that likes to bark only when I'm filming and a 1-year-old, I'm jumping around the house to find some quiet space. So here's the trend that might be worrying. So this is what I've noticed, and you're not going to see this in the news or even in the real estate numbers. You're only going to notice it if you're actively looking at listings. What I've been noticing is a lot of properties that are currently coming onto the market were purchased less than 2 years ago. Primarily what we're seeing is that these properties were purchased in 2021. And I want to talk about why that might be a little bit worrying, or maybe another angle how we can look at it. Because one of the first rules of real estate, or at least one of my first rules of real estate, is you don't buy property just to own it for 2 years. It doesn't really make any sense. You want to go in with a minimum 5-year perspective, but ideally a 10-year perspective. So why are all these people wanting to sell their properties now? And I think there's maybe 2 reasons why. So reason number 1, if we think back to 2021 in the city of Toronto, lockdowns were still going on. Not a lot of people were traveling and we were saving more money than ever before. And to put it lightly, people were obsessed with real estate. So there were a lot of people that maybe weren't as educated as they should have been making these financial decisions, specifically looking for investment properties because they had this extra cash sitting aside because there was nothing else they could spend it on, and they were getting into the market primarily as landlords. And one thing that I've learned as an active real estate investor and landlord is there is nothing passive about it. Okay, it's not like you just buy a property, put a tenant in there, and things are rosy all the time. There's a lot of issues that can come up along the way. So perhaps people that bought these properties in 2021 are starting to realize hey, this isn't easy. You actually have to know what you're doing, or at least hire someone to help you with what you're doing. Now, not all these properties that are listed right now that were bought in 2021 are tenanted properties or investment properties. Some of them are homeowners, but I have noticed a trend. A lot of these listings that we are seeing that are coming onto the market that were purchased less than 2 years ago are tenanted. So maybe it's just the fact that they're inexperienced at being landlords, maybe had, a bad experience with a tenant and they just want to get out of it and don't want to deal with it anymore. Or what's also very realistic is that in 2021, a lot of people were taking variable rates. You're getting variable rates at 1.5%. Fast forward to today, that variable rate after the prime minus whatever you got from your bank is probably 5.7. So their mortgage payments have significantly increased. And I think it's fair to say that even if you had a static variable payment, meaning that your actual payment doesn't go up as long as it covers all of the interest, if you purchased in 2021, most of these people will have hit their trigger rate. But that's the thing too, we're not really seeing these as power of sales. These are regular listings on the market that are tenanted that they're just trying to sell. And that's because if you look back at the data, even if you're selling a property you bought in 2021, it depends on specific area and asset class. You're not losing a ton of money. In fact, some people are still making money on those purchases, or at least breaking even. And that got me thinking, well, okay, when's this next batch going to happen? When are the people that bought in early 2022 thinking the same thing going to be experiencing this as well? And I think we're going to still have to wait a little bit of time to start seeing that. But what we also have to remember is that those peak prices happen for 1 month. So what we have to figure out is how many people that weren't necessarily super educated on the market and just got in because of all the hype, took a variable rate and bought at the peak of market in February. If that percentage of the market is large, then yeah, eventually we'll see a bunch of inventory. But I have a feeling that that percentage of the market, actual Canadians that bought in the peak at a variable rate, is very, very low. And although the news would make you think that everything is terrible in the real estate market, and there's lots of channels here on YouTube that go out of their way to try to scare people, not all the people that bought properties in 2021 and are selling today are selling just because of financial situations. I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends are telling me that they're going back to work 2 days a week right now. That flexible work is happening. It's not 100% work from home. And perhaps what they did is they bought a property slightly further away from their work because they could get it at a cheaper price. And they're starting to realize commuting sucks and traffic is back. And it's not just back, but it's maybe even worse than it previously was. So some of those people are going okay, you know what? I know I'm going to have to go back to work, even though it's flexible right now. Maybe in the future, it's going to be 3-4 days a week. I want to move back closer to where my work is located. And I'm not sure if I even have a conclusion of this video, other than the fact that we'll have to see how this plays out. It is a trend that I'm noticing, and it's not just necessarily Toronto, right? I'm sure actually it's more prevalent in areas like maybe Alberta or Halifax, these markets that all these people came to from other provinces and bought up real estate, and a lot of them bought them up as investment real estate. So it's something I will keep an eye on, and I will make a video on in the future if I see this trend continue. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love to know what you think about this. Please comment below. Have an amazing day. My name is Tom Storey, and remember, home is where your story begins.